guys are not that good, but I'm relying on other people to tell me that someone wants to speak. So that's the way we'll deal with the matters this morning. I'll first of all take apologies for absence. Wendy?
Apologies from Councillor O'Boyle, Nick Abel, Sue Summers and Councillor Piper, but we have got Councillor Pete Hughes who's attending in his absence.
Have you got Councillor Steve Simpkins down there?
He's not submitted apologies, is he?
I've just spoken to him. If I could submit his apologies, okay, please. He's going to the Institute of Housing Conference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've taken apologies and we've been notified of substitutes accordingly. Councillor Jones is just coming in. I'll just wait for her to join us. No problem. Okay, we just move then to item 3 on the agenda, which are the usual declarations of interest, if any. And I remind members the need to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest they have in any items you can discuss during the course of the meeting. In addition, receipt of any gifts or hospitality above the value of £25 for gifts and £40 for hospitality. Does anyone wish to make any declarations at this point in time? No indications, so that's fine. I therefore move on to item 4 on the agenda, which in essence is the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of April. I think actually Karen chaired it on that occasion. So are there any matters we need to raise? Ian, do you want to raise any issues with regard to those matters?
No, nothing on the minutes.
Nothing on the minutes.
I think I probably should update the board that they did request some time ago an overseas policy. That's been something we've been debating with my colleague Nigel Jane, and I don't think it's coming forward as a policy. It'd be more of a statement about how the CA is positioned on that. It's become a lot more involved legally than I thought, having written the paper, but I'm now going to be well advised. We should be able to bring it to the next board, I hope, Jane.
So just for those members who weren't here, that was with regard to any investment which requires or has an overseas element within it. We therefore need a policy to be able to deal with those matters. The other item to note is that we did ask as a board that Housing and Regeneration Funds dashboard should be brought to this board. I'm pleased to see it in the pack, and thanks to Gareth and his team for doing that. That'll be really helpful to understand how some of those investments are made. The other item I will raise, but only when we get to the private element in the agenda, is we had a delegation during PERDA to the Section 151 officer and myself through advice to officers. There were a couple of delegated decisions that were made, and Ian will brief us on those delegated decisions when we move into the private session, obviously on the basis of their confidentiality and the monies that were applied. So that will be done on the agenda just before we open on item 10 this morning. So if there are no amendments required on the minutes, I'm asking those to be acknowledged as a true record. Everyone seems to be fairly content with that, and we'll therefore move on to items of business for noting. And the first item of business for noting is item 5 on the agenda, which is the investment programme update, which Ian will speak to. But then we have, of course, the dashboards associated. We'll take the report first, and then we'll bring on to any highlights in the dashboard that Ian may wish to bring forward. Ian, can I hand over to you, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. A fairly simple one this time around, as there's been no approved change requests under delegated authority by WNCA officers with regard to the investment programme. So the funding commitment remains as it was 31st of May, which is £858.5 million versus funding available and confirmed income streams of £871 million as approved by WNCA board. And that excludes the earmark contributions approved by same WNCA board. The costs incurred or drawings to the 31st of May 22 was £425.3 million. So that is a £9.9 million kind of uplift since the last reporting, which was March figure.
Any questions on the substantive report with regard to the investment programme? Any indications? Fairly straightforward. Yes, I think repeats what we've already seen before, but obviously gives an update on any new funds that have been applied. So I don't see any on there. We're asked to note, in essence, and so unless anyone has any questions, we will note accordingly. However, we'll move on to the dashboards, which are page 9 to 25. Ian, do you want to just go through any salient points on the dashboard, please?
Sure. So the investment programme dashboard, it's page 19 to 25. There's 81 projects recorded there that have approved funding within the various sub-projects, which will be split out as business cases are updated. There's 13 schemes that are red status. Those are on completion dates only, where we're seeking from sponsors change requests to extend those dates and formalise it. All of those are on extension of dates only, not costs, with the exception of the Longabout scheme, which is a £2.15 million commitment, and a change request in draft has been received for a time extension and additional costs. The additional costs we met from savings elsewhere, but that will be going through our system under the assurance process. And we need to have a proper look at that through assurance and appraising.
Any questions or comments with regard to the dashboard? Councillor Grimsby, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask regarding Commonwealth Games, any projects related to Commonwealth Games? We're just a month away now, and just wondering if the investments made are all on track and everything connected to that needs to be done is being done. And just because I know there's going to be future evaluation, certainly on one of the items there. On page 23, so just really where we are as we approach the games.
Just from my perspective, Perry Bar Station is being unwrapped to the public on Saturday. I've been asked to take the scissors and cut the ribbon, which I'll do, and I'm pleased to say I can go on the train. So I was going to utilise my bus pass, which I've done before to get to Perry Bar, but I'm going to go on the train too. So that's Saturday morning. So that's one piece of investment that has come to fruition there. Ian, anything you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. You stole the good news. Yes, Perry Bar is complete, and that was part funded from the investment programme. There was contribution into Alexander Stadium, which I believe is on course and ready, or perhaps ready. Councillor Jones may be in a better position to tell me that. So yes, I believe we are on course for any investments we made, which are always part investments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Councillor Jones, do you want to add anything?
I can update on Alexander Stadium if you like. It's all finished, handed over, running test events in it. Good to go.
That's good. Rob? Councillor Bird, please.
Which schemes were on budget and which were overspent?
Yeah, I believe we're not going to ask for any additional contributions over and above that approved here. I can confirm that. In terms of final tally from total costs, if we're privy to that information, we'd have to check through that through monitoring and evaluation. The key for me would be in terms of that we don't go a penny over what we've allocated through this board, but I can understand in terms of information and background about rising costs, why we might be interested in the total cost.
Councillor Bird?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I realise that means it's a question for somewhere else rather than here, and I understand that. But my concern is about the whole of the budget for the CA. Transport schemes in particular are traditionally overspent by a minimum of about 10%. So I think I will be asking that question at the main board. So I hope that you're forewarned, Bob.
I'll forewarn the mayor, he chairs it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Councillor Hughes, please.
I don't think we can let it go past that the aquatic centre, Sandwell Aquatic Centre, is was on time and on budget.
Sorry, last week.
Can I just ask whether the arrangements for sprint are all in place for the Commonwealth Games?
I can't answer that. Is anyone?
I'd need to follow that up.
I'm sorry, Councillor Hughes, we don't have that information available to us, but I think as a separate cover, if Ian takes it away, we can perhaps give you a short briefing on where the situation currently stands with regards. Okay. Thank you. Any other points, questions, clarification? No, we therefore take the dashboard accordingly and note its contents. We now move on to 3 standard items. Now, I just warn people, this is the public elements of the dashboards. We're not in a position to discuss any private elements which come up later in the agenda. So, Nick, do you want to just give us any salient highlight points, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so as you say, these are the public information dashboards, so I'll provide a full update under private session if I may.
Any questions on the public elements of the dashboards? Nope. We'll therefore move on. That covers items 6, 7 and 8 within the agenda this morning. It now comes to the point where I have to exclude the press and the public, and I pass the following resolution with your permission. In accordance with section 100A4, the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of the following items of business, as they involve the likely disclosure of gazetted information related to the business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. All agreed?